Drew here, and I think we are gonna get a cliffhanger, friends. I hope not. I really hope not. I don't really like cliffhangers. I like seasons that feel like the close of a chapter, not an open-ended thing. But this episode, as I was watching everything happen, and there was a lot happening, I'll try to bring up the most interesting stuff, but I don't want to do a recap because it's, hopefully you watch this episode, but, so much is going on. I don't know how they're possibly going to wrap up this season in any kind of satisfying way. I really feel like they're thinking of season 3 already, and that's why so much is happening. There seems like there's a lot of setup for next season. With the character of Grandmother, we get some revelations from her this episode, some important revelations, but it really seems to me that this character is being held in reserve as some kind of an antagonist for next season. That's how the character has come across basically since she's been introduced. And, again, I'm not a fan of cliffhangers, but I understand it's ever since the success of Game of Thrones, this is how shows think, hey, we can bring people back in massive numbers. And it's always a bummer when they don't get another season. So hopefully season 3 is a go. But this episode, I think that the most emotionally riveting moment was the end of Vril. This character, who has really struggled with her identity throughout this entire season, wondering who she is and how she fits into the bigger picture, and watching her realize that she's about to die as she's just come to realize that maybe she has a soul, and Campion has come to realize it as well. It's just, a very emotionally stirring moment. And I appreciate how this show doesn't always give characters happy endings. The problem I had with this outcome is that it does make a lot of the stuff with Vril earlier this season seem pointless. It makes it seem as though the character really didn't need to be in this season, but she really didn't have a whole lot of effect on the plot when you think about it. She killed some people that also didn't need to be in the season, and she helped Campion to believe that androids were more human, something that he already kind of believed because of his relationship with mother and father. So the purpose of this character was never really that clear other than to take up time. And I feel like that's a big problem with this season, is that they didn't integrate a lot of the plots as well into the main story as they could have.
It would have made her happy to know it wasn't all for nothing,
Again, I did feel like this was a touching moment, and a moment that stands out even in this season, I feel, because I think that the performances, both of the actor playing Campion and of the actress playing Vril, were so good. Otherwise, this episode, a lot of revelations. I think that one of the more interesting ones is that we're getting a bit of a clearer picture of what Soul is seeking to accomplish, that he has been moving all the players, Sue, Mother, all these other players, to get what he wanted accomplished. And it seems that what he wants to accomplish is the destruction of humans on this planet.
Ensuring the everlasting life of human beings is my priority.
Believers of today have used a biotech tree to weaponize a serpent.
It will try to destroy the planet. That is what the entity wants.
I think it's interesting that so many people ate the fruit. I feel like there has to be a payoff for that. Like, if it turns Seven into this weaponized creature, what's it going to do to all the people that ate it, including seemingly Campion? I mean, we never really saw him eat it, but I feel like it was implied that he was going to, and we know that, Paul and also Marcus have eaten it. So it's like, what's going to happen here? What's the result of this going to be? In a sense, it kind of feels a little bit like the communion rite in Christianity, because, they're kind of partaking of Sue's body. So I'm really interested to see where they go with this. I could see a shocking cliffhanger related to this. I feel that the revelation, that Grandmother, that veil she has, she's going to give it to Mother, so that Mother can override her programming and kill her offspring, Seven. This has been a long time building. We've seen this whole season, Mother kind of forced to grapple with protecting her young, but also to her affection for this offspring that was directly birthed of her body, seemingly, Seven. And now that that's coming into play, where she's got Seven going after Campion and she's being forced to choose between them, and obviously it seems that she's going to choose Campion and the other humans over Seven. It doesn't really seem like there was much of a choice there for her, even though she's torn. But it's interesting to me that she's going to put this veil on to help her override her programming, and you wonder what this is going to do to her psychologically, if it's going to create a sense of remove between her and Campion. I also kind of wonder if they're not going kind of for a Cain and Abel thing with Seven and Campion, the way that the one sibling is jealous of the other and is trying to kill him. It's interesting. I did not pick up last episode that was what was going on. I thought that Seven was only interested in the tree, which it turns out it was, but Seven also seems to have some ill will towards Campion. And, you know, it's interesting. It's like, is the humanity of Seven, is its jealousy of his sibling going to be its undoing? Is that going to be ultimately what saves the human race? That would fit in with the themes of this season, the questioning of whether it's better to be logical and detached like the Trust, or whether it's better to have your emotions engaged. Interesting thematic exploration going on there. Also, again, I feel like Marcus has wavered back and forth so many times between, first he's a fake believer, now he's a real believer, first he's a fake atheist, now he's a real atheist. It's like he's done so much shifting back and forth this season, also between sanity and insanity, that it's a little hard to get your bearings with this character. I think that, clearly they've come down on the side of he's sane and he's a rational agent acting to protect his surrogate son now.
I wanted so bad for Soul to be the answer. A way out of the darkness. But maybe Soul is the darkness.
But it's interesting this episode. I feel that, how do you go from being as devout as he was like literally the prophet of Soul, to believing that Soul is an evil and malevolent being over the course of what episode? I feel, like losing your wife could really, really devastate anyone and make them react this way. But I feel like we needed a little bit more here to actually buy this transformation. But clearly he's, him and Paul are coming to the conclusion that even if Soul is real, and by all indications he is, and he may even be the creator of humans, or some other species for that matter, but he's not a being that has their best interests at heart, clearly. And I really just want to know what Soul is up to already, but the show is taking its time. I think they know once they give us all the answers, maybe we won't be that interested in the continued story. Otherwise, this episode, the sequence with Tempest and Hunter and Father hunting down her baby and taking it back from the devolved human. I think this show has intentionally tried to blur the lines, obviously, between humanity and other types of species, whether it be artificial intelligence or it be, other creatures that are devolved humans, and making us feel sympathy for these things that in their appearance kind of resemble monsters. This episode, you see this devolved human that has lost a child and has taken Tempest's child as her own, as kind of a replacement. And, part of you wants to sympathize with this. And Tempest certainly doesn't want to take care of the child that reminds her of what her ordeal was. But again, this was why it was interesting that they had Hunter be the one to make the decision to kill the devolved human and to take back the baby. You wonder if they're not kind of hinting at the fact that, because he's a religious person still, he still views humans as distinct from devolved humans. He still views them as distinct to a certain extent, I imagine, from androids. And he, no kidding, we're going to take back the human baby. We can't leave it, and this lifestyle can't be assumed to be as good as a human lifestyle. That's not where he's coming from at all. And I was honestly totally on his side. I'm like, thank goodness, don't leave the baby with this acidic monster. And Clearly, you know, they were kind of trying to make a pro-choice parallel here.
You can't let her do this.
It's not up to him.
She's right. Ultimately, it's not my decision to make.
Yes, and I agree. She was in her right mind, but I'm sorry, she's not.
It's Tempest's choice what happens with her baby, but from my perspective, no, it's a baby. You don't leave a baby to be raised by animals. It doesn't have human values. Who knows what the devolved human will do to it someday if it ever comes to its senses. If it has children of its own that are actually its children, what will they do to it? Like, it's ridiculous to even think of leaving this baby with the devolved humans. But I do think it was interesting. This episode, there was a conversation.
She could kill again. Humans are the point, Campion.
You don't believe that. You may have once, but not anymore. Your happiness matters too, Father.
And you can see that as Father has come to value his own ability to have free will, to make choices, that he's also coming to value the free will of humans more, and that may be why he was motivated to let Tempest make the choice, even though it was ultimately taken from her. And thank goodness, oh my goodness, I could not have handled that if they had left the baby there. So all in all, you know, another very, very interesting episode with a lot going on. Lots of great special effects shots, emotional moments. So really, the season's just really been on a roll since episode 4, I would say. So let me know what you thought, though, in the comments. If you're interested in seeing my upcoming reviews of Raised by Wolves and other shows, please consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.